Most of us have no idea what living through war actually means. Now imagine carrying the responsibility of also reporting on it. When the cameras are off and without the press vests, how do journalists that cover conflict cope? I'm Anelise Borges, and this is The Stream.
Yesterday was one of the most days that we were like hoping and praying all night that we would make it until the sun would rise.
Over 100 journalists have been assassinated in the last 80 days. Isn't that more than one journalist per day?
Israel wounded senior Al Jazeera reporter Wael al-Dahdouh and his colleague and cameraman Samir Abu Daqqa.
Israel has taken the life of another Al Jazeera journalist.
I kept going, not because I wanted to. Trust me, all of me wanted to stop. I kept going because I deserve to know what not giving up on myself feels like.
We often forget that journalists are also regular citizens, parents, siblings, friends, and colleagues, and that sometimes they're also struggling to survive whatever story they're trying to tell. In the context of Israel's war on Gaza, that's involved horrific repercussions, including for our own teams there, some of whom have lost their homes, their loved ones, or both. Yet they have carried on. And today we invite them to tell us what's all been like for them personally. First, let's go to Hind Khoudary in Gaza. Hind, thank you so much for your time today. Can you tell us about your day before you put on the press vest, before you put on your helmet? Where have you been sleeping? What have you been eating? What are your days like?
I have been sleeping on the floor for more than 100 days without my favorite blanket, without my pillow. I shipped my blanket off of Gaza like 2 months ago. I have a shower every 10 days, and I normally have like one meal per day, and like very small details that are really hitting us hard and are the main reason why we are very drained. Like if you're reporting about something else and then going back home, it's perfect. Like it's okay. You just see the atrocities, you see the killings, you see everything, but at least you're back in your safe space. But now you're reporting and you're back homeless, and yet like you see homelessness and you are already living homelessness.
We talk about difficult living conditions, but there's also the very real fear of death. What's been the most difficult part for you?
To be honest, my biggest fear is not being like killed myself, only like someone you love being killed. Like the last very like close person I lost was Hamza Dahdouh, Wael's son. And I'm in the denial state right now. I every time I see my friends, I'm like, okay guys, don't die, please. I can't handle anything. And they're like, no, you have to take care and everything. So everyone doesn't want to lose anyone anymore. That's how we're feeling. And the fact that you're away from your family, okay, that's not normal, but also not being able to cope with yourself and to understand what's going on. Like you always try to not look. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I see something, I'm like, I don't want to look, I don't want to look, I don't want to see that, I don't want to hear, I don't want to smell. I try to block my emotions and try to block my senses, because if I go into this and go very deep, it's going to hurt me so much, and I won't be able to report or to live or anything. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to report today. I can't. I saw a lot yesterday. But sometimes you can't not report, and you have to go and stand and do your work. So all of these stuff are always hard. And the most hardest thing I always face is my family's fear. My family has been begging me to leave the Gaza Strip and to go and to leave, because they're very scared. And I always told them I don't want to leave. Like my husband had with his family, they had my name on the list with them. to leave and to evacuate to the Philippines, like on the second month of the war. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. And we had like a very big fight. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go. Even if I'm not reporting, I want to live this. Because everyone else is, not everyone has the opportunity to evacuate and to leave.
Well, your family is obviously very scared, but they're also very proud of the work that you've been doing, and they had a message to send to you.
I try to text her, make sure that she's okay almost every day. I'm always like glued to my phone. Is she reading my texts? Is she seeing my stories? Is she tweeting? Layer on top of it, we're also Palestinian. We also lost our homes. We also lost our city. We also lost everything. So I'm in constant support of her to keep raising awareness about the Palestinian question and the Palestinian struggle.
She's everybody's hero in our family. She's putting her life on the line to do what she's destined to do. Is just beyond something that I can describe in words. And that's why she has all that energy to do so and gives us patience to endure our fear for her.
How important is to have the support of your family?
I'm very happy about my family. I'm the only girl on 8 brothers, and they're my 8 supporters. And Haytham, my brother, he has been calling me every single day. Like, he called me like a couple of minutes ago, and we had like a long chat. And he's always like, people in San Francisco know you, we love you, you're gonna come back. I won't go to Lake Tahoe without you. We're gonna go and play out the roulette. And like, it's so fun that he keeps like encouraging me and motivating me that this is gonna end. We're gonna meet, we're gonna play, we're gonna have so much fun.
I want to turn back to your work once again now. A very important aspect of our work as journalists is objectivity, but obviously that is easier when you get to go home at the end of the day after reporting and find a comfortable bed, etc. Is objectivity still possible for you these days?
I'm trying, like, I'm trying my best to be objective, but sometimes I can't control my emotions. I can't control my voice trembling. Like, I can't control my eyes. Like literally I can't. Like, for example, when I was talking about Hamza like live on air, I couldn't. Like, it was so hard. Like, I didn't want to cry, but like it was very hard. And like, I'm trying my best to separate the fact like that, like, I say we sometimes. I'm like, okay, no, we're not we. Or like, no, not me. I'm like them, the people, the civilians. And it's very hard, but like I'm literally going through the same, like, it's me and it's everyone I'm living with, and like it's us. And it's very hard because, again, we're not only reporting about this, but we are living this.
We have a big online community here on the stream, and we asked them if there was anything they wanted to ask you. Hassan Khan sent us this.
Amidst all the pain and suffering that the people of Gaza are enduring right now, can you share a moment of hope or happiness that you've experienced over the last couple of months, even if it was just a glimmer?
Hind, what do you say? Can you share a moment of hope?
So every single day we gather at night, like after 8, and when it gets dark, like me, Ali, Martez, Ibrahim, and all the guys, and we sit and we're like, when are we going back to the north? What are we going when we go back to the north? What are we doing? Sometimes we sing, sometimes we dance, sometimes we play, sometimes we act, sometimes we play games, and sometimes we cook, we gather, we eat, we have our meals. And one of the most famous videos we have is when we were eating makluba and like doing the stuff we like. So people still have, like, people are very resilient, and like watching, like, something I have and have been sharing, some hope I have been sharing, is the sunsets every single day, like going to the sea and watching the sunsets and sharing it with the people. And like people are playing through by the beach, they're walking, they're running, they're laughing, they're eating. It's so nice, all of these very small moments where we're trying to create joy, but at the end of the day, like, oh my god, we laughed so much, something bad's gonna happen. But yeah, like yesterday we were singing, and every time someone shows up, we start singing by using his name, and like we're trying, and if we don't do these stuff, we wouldn't like cope and like continue and go on of everything we're doing.
Thank you so, so much, Hind. We really appreciate you and the work that you do. I would like to now turn to our correspondent in the occupied West Bank, Nida Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us here on the stream. Thank you for your time. We've been talking so much about the situation in Gaza, obviously, but there's so much happening where you are in the occupied West Bank as well. Can you tell us if your days have become more difficult, more tense?
More difficult, more tense, more unpredictable. They've been unpredictable before, with Israeli raids happening very early during the day or very late during the night. But now we're finding ourselves on the move all the time, just following the story wherever it is, wherever we have casualties, raids, destruction. I think it's never been as depressing and as widespread in my life, in my career at least.
I bet it takes a toll, and obviously not only on you, but on those who love you and support you. We asked your family to send us a message about just how proud they are of your work. Take a look.
Are you proud of Nida? Are you proud of her?
So much. She's such a brave journalist and strong one. Like superheroes, you're like a superhero journalist.
She inspires me in so many ways, in documenting and spreading and telling foreign people from abroad about the situation of Palestine, on the war conditions. It's so much stressing for me, stressing on normal days, but at war times it's much worse. And when she comes home safe, I feel relieved, I'm happy, I'm joyful.
So quite a lot of pride there. Can you tell us why you chose to do what you do? Why did you choose journalism?
I used to talk nonstop as a child, and whenever my dad would come back home, first thing I would do is take the newspaper from him. And I'm someone who loves talking to people, loves hearing their stories and telling them. So it has always been my passion. But I have to say that if it hasn't been for my family's support and allowing me to be on the front lines, giving me all the push that I need, I wouldn't have been able to be like that, go on the front lines, put myself in risk. But, they understand that we as Palestinians are not safe anywhere. So yes, journalism has its risks because you're going actually to the place where the tension is and where people are angry and where there are confrontations, but still they know the value of all of that, and their support is allowing me to keep telling those stories. And again, it's very hard for us as journalists to see ourselves on cameras as are being the focus. But currently, with the targeting of our work, we find ourselves like becoming part of the story. Mm-hmm. And this is quite the opposite of what we're trying to do. We just want to put ourselves on the side and be like the viewpoint, or just be able to express what's happening, mm-hmm. to carry to the world what's been happening.
Mm. Yeah, it is definitely difficult to become part of the story, but you guys don't really have a choice right now. We asked our followers online if there was anything they wanted to ask you, and here's Amira with a question for you.
What would you love to create or facilitate to help encourage this next generation of journalists?
Good one. Nida, your answer.
I mean, I am being inspired by the next generation of journalists. You know, we were taught that, you know, objectivity means that you put all your feelings in the fridge. Objectivity means that you tell both sides, you give them equal time. But when you see so much injustice happening, so much difficulty of corporate media to give you the right balance, then you wonder what kind of objectivity you've been learned and you've been taught. And this is why I've been noticing how the younger generation of journalists is really changing the narrative and changing the way we see things and putting things in their correct framing. You know, when I was this morning meeting a family who was laying to rest the remains of the body of their son, they couldn't get the whole body. So the sister was showing me parts of the arm and like very graphic pictures. And, you know, the old me, the journalist who was like fresh out of college, would have just like either refused to see it or just blurred it. But no, I spoke about it on when we had our live segment, and I explained that they're difficult pictures, that they're putting people in very harsh situations, seeing their loved ones dismembered and being, you know, put in that position. So again, I'm learning from the generation of journalists, and if I would just convey something to them, is just to like carry on with this courage and with this message and with this passion.
Thank you so much, Nida Ibrahim, our correspondent in the occupied West Bank, for joining us here on the stream today and sharing the personal side of your story. I would like to welcome now to the show Ali Hashem, Al Jazeera's correspondent in Lebanon, who's joining us today from Doha. Ali, thank you now for your time. Everybody's been talking about Israel's war on Gaza, but also the potential implications on Lebanon, a country you report from. How much more difficult have your days become since this conflict started?
Well, when the war started on the 7th of October, I was still in Doha, and then the second day in Lebanon, things erupted, and I was sent there. I stayed in the past 100 days, around 50 days I've been in Lebanon, mainly on the border, covering the skirmishes and the escalation. The issue there is that there is a war and there is no war at the same time. Mm-hmm. The war is limited to the borderline where we are covering, we're sleeping, and at the same time we've been, you know, going through a lot of risky situations. You know, at the beginning, the first week, we were with a group of journalists, and then parted, and they were later on hit. The pictures that you're showing, and our colleague Isam Abdullah and other colleagues from Al Jazeera, AFP, and Reuters were injured. So this was the first beginning, and it was really a traumatic start for this coverage.
I bet that really shakes you, no? I mean, when you see this happening to colleagues of you, and also obviously everything that's been happening within Gaza with the targeting of journalists there, how does that affect you personally?
Well, you know, the fact is that when someone that was with you just an hour before them being killed or injured, and you feeling that this could be you, it's not an easy feeling at all, and then you go through it. And I think till the moment I haven't really overcome the feeling, because it was really different. I've covered several wars in the past, but the fact that seeing your colleagues being targeted this way, and at the same time, without any, there is no reason. Actually, there is no reason to target a journalist. But also in this situation, there was no reason at all for them to be targeted and killed. But it happened. Of course, it has a lot of impact on our mentality, our decisions, even on the ground. Because at the first, just after this attack, everyone started thinking: is it safe to move around? At the beginning, we were moving, we were going across the borderline and droving it all the time. Then we started thinking, no, this is becoming really difficult. This is becoming really risky.
It also obviously plays
a
a huge role in terms of censoring what you guys can and cannot do. I want to make this a bit more personal, if you allow me to. We also asked your family if they had a note to send you, something about their support. And here's what your daughter had to say.
We have many things in common, me and my dad, and we have a very strong bond. Having a father in a war zone is like anxiety disorder on a plate. But he always tries to comfort us. He calls us many times a day. So I really love my dad, and I really appreciate what he does for us.
Ali, this is obviously very encouraging, I guess, to have the support of your family. Is that what keeps you going despite the challenges that you've just been talking about?
Well, when you have someone waiting for you at home, you'll always, have also limitations in your coverage, because you always think of them. You don't want to be hurt. And actually, if there is something dangerous around you, you'd like to let them know before anyone. And the problem is that you not being able to convey that to them. This will create a lot of concern and anxiety. And actually, this is not the first war, as I said. There were several wars before that I've covered, and actually I've been trying to, as much as possible, to limit the flow of news to them, just in case something is happening to us. Actually, sometimes I refrain from sharing some actions that take place. For example, once in Russia, I just asked my cameraman not to share some videos, though they were very strong videos, because I felt that if these
your family was going to kill you if
then
they knew you were risking that much. Ali, you obviously see a lot of suffering and a lot of violence in your work, and we had a question for you from Mirhan. Take a listen.
I wanted to ask you, how can we help you here on the ground if we live in the West? If you can tell us what you think we can do to be effective.
What do you think? How can viewers help you in your work?
Well, helping journalists in their work is by raising awareness on journalists being attacked, on journalists being targeted, and also spreading the word. Whatever journalists are reporting, trying as much as possible to spread it, especially when it's casting the light on people's the bad situations, the suffering of people, the attacks that they're under, and the massacres that are taking place in these regions. I mean, over the past 3 months, we've been living in a different life, completely different life. Even now, when I'm in Doha, I really feel I don't feel really well. I feel like I'm in a bubble away from the war zone, and I think this is an issue that maybe I need to treat, because it's not right. But the fact is that our lives have turned upside down because of the war and because of the daily suffering of people, and we feeling also at the same time that we're not doing enough to show the suffering of people. For example, in Lebanon, where we are, and it's not really to be compared with the devastation and the disaster and the carnage in Gaza, but at least there are several villages that are now completely destroyed. People are being killed. But the problem is that with the limitations and with the attacks, Israeli attacks, we're not really able to go around the borders to show these villages. And whenever we're doing that, we're taking big risks. So showing what's happening to journalists, but not as the main story. Journalists are not the story. The story is the people. The story are the countries that are under attack. The story is the suffering that's going on.
And you're doing a wonderful job telling that story. Ali, Hashem, thank you so much for joining us here on the stream today. It's a pleasure to have you and to have your perspective. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget, you can stay in touch with us online on social media. And if you'd like to contribute with this show, we would love to hear your ideas. You can use the hashtag or the handle AJStream, and we'll look into them. Take care, and I'll see you soon.